How to start a boudoir photography business. Starting any kind of business can be really overwhelming. Like, where do you even begin? Well, I've taught enough photographers how to do this. I've distilled everything down into 3 main points. And once you get these 3 things dialed in, everything gets so much easier and you can scale this as big as you want it to get. But make sure you watch till the end. Do not skip anything, because if you do not get all 3 of the points, the other 2 won't work. It's like a 3-legged stool. You'll just fall over.
It's showtime.
Hello, I'm Mike Lloyd. I run a multi-6-figure boudoir studio in Silicon Valley, California, and I like starting businesses. I like helping other people start businesses, and in communicating how to do this for the last 10 years, I have distilled this down to basically 3 things that you need before you can even begin to think about building your business. Now you're like, do I need a website? Should I get on Squarespace, or do I use WordPress or Show It? Do I need to be on Instagram? Should I get a TikTok? What if I want to shoot weddings and I want to shoot food and landscapes and seniors and kids? Hold up. Once we get these 3 things dialed in, most of those questions are going to answer themselves or prove that it really doesn't matter. You need to be focusing on these 3 things. Everything else is secondary. Point number 1, knowing who you serve. Number 2, building a strategic portfolio. Keyword strategic. And number 3, communicating your value. You're like, that seems pretty basic. How the hell is that going to help me start a business? Well, let me tell you, if you want to be the crazy person standing on the street corner with the megaphone and that big sign that says everybody's going to burn in hell, then that's cool. You can stand out there and shout your message as loud as you want to every single person walking by. But I guarantee no one's going to change their ways because you shouted at them and got in their way while they were just trying to go get a cup of coffee. That's the same thing as starting a business and not identifying these 3 things. You need to know who you serve, have a strategic portfolio, and communicate your value. Let's dive in. Knowing who you serve. This is freaking huge. When I talk to most new photographers, I'm like, who's your ideal client? And they're like, anybody who will stand in front of my camera. That's not true. If you want to do maternity photos, not everyone is going to be your client. They need to be pregnant, at least halfway along. Right? So you've already eliminated a huge percentage of the population. What about brides? You want to shoot weddings? That's cool. They better at least be engaged, maybe in a relationship, or, probably not married already. So not everybody is your client. That's why we define who we actually want to work with. And that's the coolest thing about this. You get to choose who you want to work with. So you want to shoot weddings? Groovy. Do you want to do boho barnyard style weddings? Do you want to shoot elegant vineyard weddings? Do you want to do them in churches? Do you want to do them outdoors? Do you want to just do elopements and not worry about the ceremony at all? Totally cool. You get to choose. That's pretty amazing. But you have to actually choose. So I want you to make a list of the different types of clients that you want to work with and why they would hire you. This is invaluable research. I did this a couple years ago. I wanted to do 7 reasons why somebody would hire a boudoir photographer. I ended up with 13, and I stopped there because that was a good number for marketing purposes, but I could have gone to like 50. And when you start to learn why somebody would hire you, you learn so much more about your client and you can market to them more effectively. For example, I am a boudoir photographer. I photograph people for different reasons, and I need to communicate those reasons to them to show that I understand their pain point, and then they'll think, oh, this dude gets me, I'm going to hire him. Because I'm not going to speak to the 55-year-old empty nest mom who has been a mom, worked in corporate office for these last 20, 25 years, and now that the kids are out of the home, she's trying to find a new identity outside of this mom role. Or maybe she's recently divorced, or getting married, or having a child, or done having children. These are all reasons to do a boudoir session. And as I'm creating my blog posts, my social media content, right? I said all those things will just fall into place. I know what she's thinking, and I know why she would do this shoot, and I can write about those things. It has nothing to do with being a model for the day. I don't make anyone pretty. It's not about that. I can't make anyone pretty. I just try not to F it up because I believe that all my clients who come in here are already pretty.
You don't have an appointment.
Things like that are what are going to help you land more clients. Way more easily than just shouting at everyone, hoping that people put the pieces together themselves and recognize that you're a good photographer for them. So make your list of, even start with three different kinds of clients that you want to serve. Now, if this is high school seniors, it could be the sports star. This could be the scholar, the spelling bee champ. This could be the parents, because you got to market to them also. If you shoot weddings, is it the church? Is it the vineyard? Is it the barnyard wedding? Is this her first marriage? Is she a 23-year-old bride? Is she the 45-year-old bride getting married again? Same-sex couples, whatever you want to do. You get to choose, but make your list and why would they hire you? That is going to help you communicate so much more effectively, and we'll get to that in point 3. All right, number 2. Build a strategic portfolio. Keyword here, strategic. You're not just shooting a bunch of models to prove that you can take pictures of people, because that is not strategic. That's not going to help you. In fact, it's probably going to hurt you. Yes, you might learn about some lighting, you might learn posing, but if the photos don't look like your ideal client, they're not going to work. If I predominantly work in, let's say, the Vietnamese community here in the South Bay, and most of my client work or most of my portfolio are all Vietnamese women. Well, if I go and shoot in other neighborhoods where there are different ethnicities, different cultures, those photos probably not going to attract the other ethnicities, because now I specialize in this one thing and I'm not going to be as good a fit for anybody else. However, if I want to focus on the 50-year-old moms, then I'm going to shoot a ton of 50-year-old moms for my portfolio so I can learn the language to use when I'm communicating with them, how to pose them, the things that they want in the images, things that they want to hide, maybe stretch marks from having children, things like that. I can learn those things by working with them, and then I end up with a portfolio full of images that look like my ideal client, because it is my ideal client. And even if you shoot for free, it's fine. But don't photograph the 21-year-old Instagram models if that's not the audience you're actually trying to sell to. Because that 50-year-old mom is not going to look at the 21-year-old in a bikini and think, yep, that's me right there. I can totally relate to that. It's just not how it works. Strategic portfolio. And every time I do a shoot for my portfolio, it needs to accomplish 2 things. It has to look like my ideal client, and I want to learn something new. Whether it's a new set of poses, it's a new lighting style, how to use a different piece of furniture, literally anything. But you should learn something, and it should serve you for marketing purposes as well. So something to keep in mind, if you can't check both of those boxes with a shoot, either don't do the shoot or rework it so that you can. Point number 3, communicate your value. If you've already identified who it is you want to work with, you've already done some test shoots and you've got feedback and you found how different language works, you're going to be able to communicate a lot more effectively. And again, it really just comes down to knowing your clients and their language, and not English versus Hindi versus Vietnamese versus Russian, but the actual words that they use. So if I'm going to, say, a fine dining restaurant and you look at the numbers on the menu, it's just 37 next to the steak, or 17 next to the glass of wine. There's no $16.99 listed on the menu like you'd get at an Applebee's. Basically the same thing, but you're speaking that price in 2 different languages. $16.99 says this is a deal. It's less than 17. We're making it a big deal to show you that it's 1 penny cheaper than 17. Whereas at the fine dining restaurant, it just says 17. I don't care if it's $16.99, whatever. I'm not here for a bargain. Again, basically the same price, but you're speaking different languages, and that will attract different people. Also, using cultural references in your work, using hashtags, the different props you might have in your photo shoots will resonate with people differently. So knowing who you want to work with will tell you how to communicate with them. It's a work in progress. It's something you're always going to be practicing, and that's why I suggested you start with just 3. Start small, really dive in and get to know those audiences. Read blogs, listen to podcasts for those audiences, get some magazines that cater to them, watch television shows so you can see the commercials that market to them.
So, say it once, say it twice, 3rd time's the charm.
See what other people are doing successfully, and you can emulate some of those things. So I recommend you read the book called Lingo by Jeffrey Shaw. It is the best book I've read on this exact thing. And he was actually a photographer who got his start knowing nothing about anything. And he would go into different businesses to learn how they marketed, how they communicated, how they packaged their products, how they interacted with their higher end clients. That's how he built his business, his huge successful business, and now he teaches other people how to do the same. It's a really great book for you to learn how to communicate with your clients. And there's a ton of stuff in there like I didn't realize I didn't know that yet. That's the kind of book. And I've been doing this a long time, ton of breakthroughs in there. So I'm going to put the link down in the description so you can pick up a copy for yourself. So there you have it. Those are the 3 things that you need to start a business, because then it doesn't matter if you're on TikTok, if you're on Instagram, if you have a website, or if you just focus on networking. You can build a business if you know who you're selling to, what value you're actually providing, and you have a strategic portfolio so that you can learn how to shoot that audience and you can show them that you know how to work with them. Everything else will fall into place from there. You'll never run out of content. You're never going to run out of ideas. The world will just open up for you. So check out some other videos. I've got how to start a photography business with no experience. There's some more tactical stuff in there as well. Definitely recommend that one. And if you want a step-by-step walkthrough of how to start and scale a profitable boudoir studio, head over to boudoirguild.com and I will see you inside.